Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont. And some of you may notice that I've got a new mic. Yeah, my old mic finally died. It's been around for a while and it's been seeing a lot more heavy usage than previously. And it just started sounding like butt. So I had to go pick up a new one. Didn't have a lot of options in the area and I didn't feel like waiting for one to come in the mail. So I just bought whatever this is, the Shure something 6, MV6, I think. MVP6, something 6. It's what they had. There was another mic I wanted, but it was a XLR microphone, like a traditional style microphone, which required a mixing board, which I didn't feel like dishing $250 on a mixing board right now. And I don't know if I even have my old one. I don't know if it survived the move. Whatever. It was ancient. It probably didn't even work anyway. But here we are to talk about the death rattle of Western gaming. As you can see from this headline right here, Assassin's Creed Shadows delayed again, this time by another month. And this isn't going to be me reading a bunch of articles. You can see I've got articles queued up here. Mostly going to just read the headlines and talk a little bit about each article because Western games are in a dire straits right now. And as you can see from this statement, this is a video I paused because this was a very important graphic they popped up. Ubisoft is taking decisive steps to reshape the group in order to deliver best in class player experiences, enhanced operational efficiency, and maximized value creation. Which I don't know what they mean exactly by value creation, but Ubisoft announced today that it has appointed leading advisors to review and pursue various transformational, strategic, and capitalistic options to extract the best value for stakeholders. We call that, ladies and gentlemen, adhering to your fiduciary responsibilities. So when you're a publicly traded company, you're pretty much required by the FTC to do the things that will make your company money because people invest in your company and you need investors in order for your company to continue to maintain its position in the market. If the position tanks, which Ubisoft has tanked, stakeholders lose money, backers lose money, people could leave the company, and you could end up owing a ton of money to the government, or you could end up getting liquidated and losing everything, which is very much something that could happen if Ubisoft doesn't get it together. I noticed this marching on here. I wonder if that's a joke about it releasing in March. I was due out in February, but now it'll be due out in March. I see what you did there. I see what you did, IGN. Marching on because yes, it'll be released in March. But Ubisoft's actions lately make me wonder, do they hate making money? Do Western games in general hate making money? We got this right here. Dragon Age The Veilguard performed half as well as expected, says EA. After the failure to launch Anthem as an important new IP and the decline in a series quality that came with Mass Effect Andromeda, BioWare really needed a hit in Dragon Age The Veilguard. It did not find one. Yeah, and this is straight from Forbes, a finance magazine, talking about how they failed. In their preliminary Q3 report by EA, it cited Dragon Age The Veilguard as one of the reasons its forecast for fiscal year 2025 went from a predicted increase to a projected decline. Yup. Oh, do they have the sales numbers here? Dragon Age engaged approximately 1.5 million players during the quarter, down nearly 50% from the company's expectations. They really thought they were going to nab 3 million people with this game. And it mostly failed because of identity politics and modern day beliefs and social structures forced into a medieval fantasy game. And when you put modern day politics into a game, you pretty much guarantee that it will not have longevity. Even if it's good and even if people in the current timeline liked it, it will not translate in the future because of the current state of the game to when it was made in relation to the current state of politics. You want your stories to be timeless. There's a reason the Odyssey is still a timeless story. There's a reason people still enjoy the stories of Heracles or Hercules, whichever mythology you want to place him in, because the hero's journey is a timeless story. You can have people perform actions and do things without it being tied to modern day politics. If you want to include politics in a game, they need to be included in the way that Witcher includes politics in their game. And they need to be directly tied to the world, to the story. They do not need to be tied to the real world. They need to be the in game world politics. What are the functions of the politicians and the characters and the citizens in that game, in that universe, in that world? That's not what Dragon Age is. Dragon Age pretty much died the minute they released the character creation screen, and we saw that you couldn't make a hyper feminized character, but you could make a character with top surgery scars. It's catering to a very small audience, and when you do that, you guarantee failure. Because if I said I'm gonna only make a video game for albino Mexicans who have one red eye from their albinism and one normal or brown eye, I would not be making a game for everyone. I'd be making a game for almost no one. And that's kind of what happened with Dragon Age when they made this game about what it was, characters that cared more about transgenderism and their pronouns than they did about stopping the hordes of darkspawn destroying the world. Dragon Age is Dragon Age because the archdemon looks like a dragon and you have to battle one, right? Sometimes there's other dragons. You got Flemeth who can morph into a dragon. You got other beasts that strongly resemble dragons. And let's not even talk about how basically the Canary look different in every game. And the first one they explained away with, I believe it was a genetic defect or a genetic malformity that the character had, which is why he was an outcast and ostracized from the other Kunari. Kunari, am I pronouncing that right? I don't even care anymore. I believe it's Kunari, but they just murdered it. They murdered it before it was out, and then they paraded the corpse around in puppet strings, and they're shocked that nobody wanted to play it. And it's just you wonder, does BioWare hate making money? I know Microsoft certainly does because Microsoft reportedly lays off more employees. Yep, Microsoft has reportedly laid off even more employees across its gaming, security, and sales divisions. The past few years have been difficult time for video game employees, with many companies like Microsoft announcing sweeping layoffs in 2024 alone. And yeah, 2024 will probably go down in history as one of the worst years for gaming development companies, just in terms of lost revenue, lost employees, closures all across the board. It is wild when you tally up everything that happened in the gaming industry in 2024. It is apocalyptic looking. You would almost say that games are done. They're a dying medium and nobody cares. There never will be a dying medium because each new generation loves games. Each new generation wants its own games. They have their own likes. Pardon me, I've got an eyelash just fell into my eye. Oh, it's the worst. Oh, oh, got it. Did I? No. Such a tiny thing caused such a major pain and inconvenience. Where was I? Just talking about yeah. Oh yeah, games. Games dying, industries closing, companies being bought out and shut down, which makes me wonder when a company like Microsoft buys a smaller gaming company and then immediately shuts it down, when EA buys a gaming company and shuts it down, when Ubisoft buys a gaming company and shuts it down, are they liable to open or to be sued for that? For destroying a company effectively? When you would think when you buy a company, there's a certain level of agreement that you're going to try to make that company work and be profitable. You're not going to just nuke them. I'm not sure. I've never seen the business contracts. I do know in business law, you cannot just buy a company simply for the sole purpose of shutting it down. You have to do something with the company or you have to do something with the employees. Now, when you shut a company down and lay off all the employees, you're looking at major legal battle ahead of you. and Microsoft hit with more layoffs. They're not being hit with layoffs, they're executing layoffs. I guarantee the executives and the upper board members of Microsoft are still making bank. They still get big fat paychecks. They could, do the decent thing like Nintendo did and reduce their salary to make sure their employees had a job and kept their work. Pardon me. But no, that's not what Western gaming do. They would rather completely destroy everything they own than admit defeat or, not make millions of dollars and only make a million or two. It's absurd how greedy some of these people are. And the reason I keep pointing this out, Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft, BioWare, Microsoft, because we have a headline like this coming from Automaton. Hunter x Hunter, Nen X Impact developer aiding sees massive 192% growth in profit compared to last year. A hundred, stop that. 192% growth. That is wild. Almost tripled their earnings from the previous year. And when you look at the numbers, it's not a lot of money, but the company doesn't spend a lot of money. So when you don't spend a lot of money, you need to earn less. And as reported by GameBiz, Aiding saw net profit jump to 299 million yen, around $1.9 million in their 12th fiscal year. This is a 191.6 increase compared to last year's 102 million yen. The 2024 fiscal year marked Aiding's eighth consecutive year of being profitable. That is every game publisher's dream. 8 years of profits, eight. It's just a coincidence that they happen to be called aiding, and if they fall off after that, I might wonder if they were testing fate, but I don't think they are because they are developers currently working on a licensed Hunter x Hunter fighting game, Hunter x Hunter Nen X Impact, which is due to be published by the Bushiroad. Although the 2D 3v3 team fighter was initially supposed to release in 2024, it was delayed to the summer of 2025 as aiding needed more time to implement rollback netcode. Translation? Well, this is kind of like a double translation. They wanted to make sure the game functioned properly, which is what every game dev should be doing. Like, sorry, we have to push the game back because it needs to be functioned. Not Assassin's Creed, we have to push the game back because we got to try to salvage our reputation that we absolutely annihilated and destroyed by focusing on a black character that was never a true samurai, according to history, in feudal Japan when everyone was wanting Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan, but then they were like, "No, we're not going to play a Japanese guy. You're going to play an immigrant, basically, and you're going to go around committing crimes against Asian people." Which is weird that this game was being produced. The production of this game occurred during the height of Stop Asian Hate, and yet they continued to make this game. Someone at Ubisoft was like, "This would probably be a good idea." Just I don't know. That's wild to me. But yeah, the 2D 3v3 fighting game. So basically, this Hunter x Hunter fighting game is going to be their new Marvel vs. Capcom game, which this is the company that made Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is more successful than I thought it was going to be because I liked the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3. She-Hulk was my favorite, obviously. I didn't realize she was a completely busted character and was the anchor of 98% of people's teams. So I get why they nerfed her, but they nerfed her so hard she became unplayable. So we'll see what they're gonna do with this Hunter x Hunter. The other thing I was gonna say is I think another part of the reason they pushed this back, and they didn't push it back to just the beginning of this year. They pushed it to summer because you want it to be a summer blockbuster. You want your game to come out when the most people can play it and they have free time, especially young people, and they can invest in the game, put some hours into it, and get some numbers up in both sales and player base. And the reason I think they may have done this is because if they had released this in 2024 when it was planned, it would have just made 2024 even more profitable, but may have left them empty-handed in 2025. So I do think there's some, insight into pushing this back to summer of 2025 in order to increase sales. Because let's be real, they're looking for 9 straight years of profits, because every company wants profits every year. If you can do it, if you can manage it, that's the key to success. Having a profitable company year after year, and 8 years in a row, maybe gonna be their ninth. You could be looking at a company that's up and rising to the point where they might be considered a new AAA developer in a couple years if they keep this up. If they can keep this level of growth and the consecutive profits, aiding will be a powerhouse in gaming. It'll be to the point where, people will be talking about aiding as they talk about Blizzard, or as they talk about, oh, I'm sorry, Blizzard Activision, or as they talk about Ubisoft or EA. Let's just hope they don't turn evil like those companies. But yeah, I just want to address the situation of the West is dying, the East is knocking it out of the park time after time after time. Nintendo's still recording profits. Sony's still recording some profits. They are making some big mistakes, but most of that has to do with the digital marketplace. But yeah, there you have it. Aiding, putting Microsoft, putting Ubisoft, putting BioWare all to shame. They're not putting up the same numbers as them, but their percentage of sales, their consecutive growth makes the rest of those companies look like they don't know what they're doing or that they don't like making money. But that's all I have for this episode. Belmont out.